Here's 3 mistakes that I made while starting the carnivore diet. So the first one was I didn't realize how much I'd need basically fat. Fat, obviously you hear people say you need to eat a certain amount of fat. But for me, I kind of just only ate 25% minced beef because I thought that was enough. I had a little bit of butter, but I wasn't gauging on how much my body needed. Now, because I didn't recognize how much my body needed, it made me realize that I was very much getting electrolyte deficient. So I was making, obviously, these burgers, which I'm doing now. I'm making a massive burger, 20% grass-fed minced beef. And what I was doing is literally just having that. And I was a little bit butter on the side because I thought that would have been enough fat. So then what people don't realise is when you first start the carnivore diet, when you've got no carbs, that basically means when you've got you see your shit loads anyway. When you obviously cut out all carbs, it also gets rid of all the electrolytes, all your potassium, magnesium, all the sodium. So I felt like utter crap. And instead of me thinking, oh, it must be because of the fat, I thought it was because I needed carbohydrates. Okay, so when it comes to editing, I don't think I explained that too well. So obviously, you've got your electrolytes, and when you don't eat enough fat, it means basically your electrolytes are not holding on to what it needs to, basically, because the fat is there to help storing the potassium, the magnesium, and the sodium into your body. But also, not just that, if you don't eat enough fat, then you can't produce as much ketones because you haven't got the energy source for the ketones. So what you end up having to do is actually burn protein for energy, which is a very harsh and inefficient way to actually get energy because it's actually more stressful on your system. So I didn't really explain that too well. So I ended up adding a few pieces of fruit here and there in, which were one of the worst things I could have literally done, because then it kind of put back my progress for getting fat adapted. Fat adapted basically means you're burning fuel, your fat as fuel, instead of like carbohydrates, which is the glucose. So when you are, eating carbs, you don't use really many ketones. When you're fat adapted, there's something called ketones, which is actually what your body prefers you to use for energy. And I've been learning quite a lot about this. I already knew about it, but I'm currently trying to help my girlfriend out with how to deal with her CFS and ME. So obviously, it talks a lot about how mitochondria is produced, how people use ketones for energy, and actually, the best thing that your cells want for energy is ketones, which is when you burn fat. So there's me adding bits of orange in. I was adding other bits of fruit like berries and stuff, thinking, oh, it must be that. And because I hadn't eaten sugar for a while, they actually gave me a proper bad sugar rush, and I felt, oh, these are crap. And it weren't really giving me the energy, but over the course of a couple of weeks, I had a few extra pieces here and there, and I thought, it must be something to do with that. Then when I realised, I thought, you know what? I don't think it's that. I think it's something else. That I took it out, and I realised that I wasn't eating enough fat. Keep making this while my pan heats up. So what I did then was try and figure out what else I could do. So that was the first mistake, not having enough fat. Second one was not adding in electrolytes, which is kind of the same thing. So I was thinking to myself, right, okay. I'll add in a few electrolytes. So I got myself some potassium, magnesium, and sodium, because you can get at LMNT, which is basically the pre-made stuff, but they're extortionate prices. So I just made it myself. And what I didn't realise is when I was having the electrolytes, is the fact that I wasn't salting my food enough. So it's all well and good adding in magnesium, a bit of salt, and a bit of potassium. But one of the main key components to making sure you don't get keto flu or getting this feeling of feeling drained or fatigued is having enough salt. But salt has been demonized for many years because people say it's bad for you, it's going to give you a heart attack, this and other, which has actually been proven to be a load of shit. Obviously, if you eat table salt is a different story. Table salt is garbage, you shouldn't have that. But when you have pink Himalayan salt, I recommend people, if they're starting a carnivore diet, to have at least, well, 7 to maybe 9 grams of good quality salt per day. Now for me, I've even been doing carnivore now for 2 years, and I still need a fair bit of salt. So some people could do carnivore diet with no salt. That's perfect. But for me, I still need to have quite a bit. So I salt to taste. There's a person called Dr. Anthony Chaffee. He talks about how much salt and stuff you should have, and you should literally just salt to taste. And that's what I do. I don't ever count the grams or anything like that anymore. I should just put it on and I cook it. It's the same as when I do my slow cooking brisket. I dry brine it. So what I do is I put shitloads of salt on it, leave it to dry in that, basically in the fridge for 12 to 24 hours. And then that all absorbs into it, makes the meat proper tender and lovely. Because I need the salt. And I always salt my food generously. I also make sure that I am not having crappy quality salt. So I get, obviously, the pink Himalayan. I've also got a lovely sea salt, which is fantastic to put on steaks. When you put that, and it's got the crunch on it as well, with the crunch of the nice sear on the edge of the steak, the crust. Oh, beautiful. So that was made steak number 2. So I added in, obviously, a bit of electrolytes, but I wasn't having enough salt, which would have actually helped me a lot more than adding in the magnesium and the potassium as well. So mistake number 3 that I made was the fact that because of my UC, because of my ulcerative colitis, I thought that it was going to be exactly the same as everyone else, that within 30 days I'm going to feel fantastic. But the problem about having UC is that there's so many underlying issues going on in your bowels that you can't absorb the nutrients that other people can. You end up actually not being able to get all the micronutrients that you need. So obviously I went for basically beef, butter, an occasional bit of chicken. Then I cut out the chicken because I preferred just beef. And then I had a slight reaction later on, and I thought it was butter, but it just wasn't. That's a different story. I've got that video on the channel somewhere already. So I ended up eating just beef, salt and water for absolute months, and I ended up becoming deficient in vitamin D and folic acid because I was only basically eating beef. Now, people with UC need to heal their bowels with the right foods. Now, I recommend to only eat beef, salt and water for the first 30 days because it's going to be the best nutrients you can get, as well as healing your bowels because you're already inflamed and you want to make sure that your bowels are basically getting rid of the inflammation. So there's me. I'm thinking, right, okay, what I'll do is, listen to that sound. Stainless steel pan. Yes, boy. I lost my train of thought. So, what I did was, when I actually got over the food triggers, because you create loads of food triggers, so you go so long without eating food and then you eat it and you think, oh, I've been so good for so long, I feel like if I have this, am I going to start causing UC symptoms again? So there was me constantly thinking that, and every time I added food, I had these sort of symptoms and these triggers, thinking, oh no, got a few histamine reactions, not realising what it was, which then left me just only eating beef meat, beef, salt and water, and then I ended up becoming deficient, so I ended up feeling like shit and everything else. That's why a lot of people quit the carnivore diet too early, because they're not getting all the micronutrients. So as soon as I started adding in things that will help them with that, so I had raw milk for the vitamin D, the calcium, the vitamin K, things like that. Then I was adding in different things like pork, I was adding in chicken. These all got different micronutrient balances. Then I added in eggs, which obviously got the choline and all this other stuff in it. That's like vitamin A. All these things are fantastic for your body. So as soon as I figured out all the micronutrients and everything I wanted to have, I felt 10 times better. That is why in my protocol, which is in the top link in the description, the first 30 days are literally strict beef, salt and water. After that, that's when we address adding foods in. Now this is a stage where you've healed your bowels, you're literally in a state where you're fantastic for obviously the inflammation. Next 30 days is adding in loads of different foods, adding a bit of chicken here, a bit of butter, a bit of ghee. They're also fantastic things because they help heal your gut. Once I figured this out, instead of just following the basic advice of carnivore diet that everyone else seems to just want to follow, which is just eat meat and you'll be healed. That's not the case for UC. You need all the micronutrients, all these different foods to help you heal and seal, or else you'll be stuck just eating beef for ages and then realising that you feel like utter shit because you're not getting all the nutrients that you need. So there I was. Oh, I forgot to put a timer on this. Basically, making these 3 mistakes when I first started carnivore. And I've been on quite a few different UC like forums, people saying that they couldn't stick the carnivore diet, they could only do it for a couple of weeks. Well, that's because they were doing it wrong. Now, they've just heard everyone else's advice and not taking the advice of someone who was actually healed UC doing the carnivore diet. They've just seen people do the carnivore diet for either losing weight or maybe a bit of arthritis and stuff, which is totally different. So, they're the 3 mistakes. First one, not eating enough fat. Second one, not having the electrolytes. And the third one is basically sticking to the same thing for too long without adding in all the other macronutrients afterwards. Okay, and here is the final product, and you know what, I've decided that I want to add some cheese on top. So I've got some Caledonian vintage cheddar, matured for 18 months. Most people with UC can't tolerate dairy whatsoever. But once you're actually healed and you get over the food triggers of where the dairy thing come from, eating cheese, eating milk is absolutely fine. And in fact, it's beneficial because it's got the fat, it's got the calories, and it's just so good. Right. Come on, camera lady. Show me a picture of this. Bit of cheese. So good.